The Desert Eagle Range sat 40 miles outside Barstow, California, a place where leather-clad bikers came to prove their manhood with steel and gunpowder. Saturday afternoon sunshine beat down on the shooting complex like a hammer. Sarah Mitchell pulled her dusty Honda Civic into the gravel parking lot. 20 Harley-Davidsons gleamed in a perfect row, chrome and attitude. The Hells Angels insignia marked every bike, red and white patches that commanded respect through fear. She sat in her car for a moment, hands steady on the wheel. The tremor in her left hand had stopped 2 years ago. Physical therapy, meditation, and sheer determination had fixed what the IED blast had broken. Sarah checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. 28 years old, but her eyes carried decades more. Brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup. The faded Marines t-shirt she wore was soft from 1,000 washings. Her phone buzzed. Text from her brother Danny. "Sis, you don't have to do this. These guys are dangerous." Sarah typed back quickly. "So was Fallujah. I'll be fine." She stepped out of the car. The desert heat wrapped around her like a blanket. Across the parking lot, 20 bikers turned to watch her approach. Some laughed. Others just stared. The tallest one stepped forward. Marcus "Tank" Johnson stood 6'5", weighed 280, all muscle and menace. His beard reached his chest. Tattoos covered every visible inch of skin. The president patch on his vest marked him as the club's leader. "You're the veteran?" Tank's voice rumbled like distant thunder. His eyes traveled from her face to her worn sneakers. "Danny's sister?" Sarah nodded once. Sarah Mitchell, Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps. 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. "Staff Sergeant." Tank grinned, showing gold teeth. "Fancy. What'd you do over there, sweetheart? Cook meals? Type reports?" The bikers behind him laughed, 20 men finding humor in their assumption. Sarah's expression didn't change. "Scout sniper, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines." The laughter died like someone had cut its throat. Tank's smile faded slightly. "Scout sniper. That's cute. How many confirmed hits you got? 5? 10? 73. Sarah's voice was flat, factual. 73 confirmed, another 42 probables. Dead silence. Even the desert wind seemed to pause. One of the bikers, a wiry man with a spiderweb tattooed on his neck, spoke up. "Bull, no way some girl got 73 confirmed kills." Sarah pulled out her phone, scrolled to a photo, handed it to Tank. The big man studied the screen. His expression shifted from skepticism to shock. The photo showed Sarah in full combat gear, standing next to General James Mattis. Both were holding a plaque. The citation was clearly visible. "Purple Heart, Bronze Star with Valor, Navy Cross." Tank read aloud, his voice quieter now. "Longest confirmed kill? 2,430 meters. He looked up. "That's over 1.5 miles." Sarah took her phone back. 2,430 meters. Wind speed 18 miles per hour, shifting. Target was an HVT planning an attack on a school. 1 shot. The bikers exchanged glances. This wasn't what they'd expected when Danny Mitchell had told them his sister wanted to settle their debt. 3 weeks earlier, Danny had made a mistake, a big one. He'd borrowed $10,000 from the Hells Angels to cover his mother's cancer treatment. The terms were clear. Pay back $12,000 in 30 days or face consequences that didn't require explanation. Danny had tried everything. Extra shifts at the warehouse, selling his truck, pawning everything of value. He'd scraped together $8,000. The remaining $4,000 might as well have been $4 million. Then Sarah had come home from her job at the VA hospital. Her baby brother, the kid she'd protected their whole childhood, was sitting at his mother's kitchen table with his head in his hands. She'd gotten the whole story out of him: the loan, the interest, the deadline, the very real danger he faced. "Let me handle this," Sarah had said. "Sis, you don't understand. These guys aren't regular guys. They're dangerous." Sarah had smiled sadly. "Danny, I've faced dangerous. These guys are just loud." She'd made Danny set up the meeting, called Tank directly, offered a proposition. "I hear you boys pride yourselves on shooting skills," Sarah had said over the phone. "I'll make you a bet. Shooting competition. Me against your three best. I win, Danny's debt is cleared completely. You win, I'll pay the full $12,000 myself." Tank had laughed so hard he almost dropped the phone. "Lady, you got balls, I'll give you that. But you understand, my boys don't miss. We're talking about men who've been shooting since they could walk." "Then you should feel confident taking the bet." There was a pause. Tank liked confidence, liked it even more when he could break it. "All right, sweetheart, you're on. This Saturday, Desert Eagle Range. Bring your own rifle if you want. We'll provide everything else." Now here they stood. Sarah, alone and calm. 20 bikers, confident and curious. Tank pulled a roll of hundreds from his vest pocket, counted out 100 bills, $10,000 in cash, laid it on the hood of his Harley. "Here's the deal," he announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. 3 competitions: long-range precision, speed shooting, moving targets. You win 2 out of 3, your brother's debt is history. My boys win, you pay the full 12 grand right here, right now. Plus one condition," Sarah said quietly. "You're making demands?" Tank raised an eyebrow. "When I win, you leave my family alone forever. No loans, no business, no contact." The big man considered this, then nodded slowly. "Fair enough. When you lose, you pay up and we never see any Mitchells again. Deal?" Sarah extended her hand. Tank shook it. His massive palm completely engulfed hers. He squeezed hard, trying to intimidate. Sarah didn't flinch. Her grip was iron. Tank released her hand and gestured toward the range. "Meet my boys. These are the 3 best shots in the club." First was Carlos "Deadeye" Martinez. 42 years old, former Army Ranger. Discharge was other than honorable after a bar fight left 2 MPs hospitalized. He'd been shooting competitively for 20 years. "Ma'am?" Deadeye nodded with something approaching respect. Military recognized military, even across different worlds. Second was James "Reaper" Williams. 35, no military background, but he'd grown up hunting in Montana. Been shooting since age 6. He holds the club record for fastest draw. "This won't take long," Reaper said. "Not cruel, just certain." Third was Vincent "Viper" DeLuca. 28, same age as Sarah. Vietnam veteran father taught him everything about precision shooting. He competed in national championships. "Looking forward to this," Viper said with a cold smile. "Been a while since I had a challenge." Sarah studied each man carefully, noted their postures, their weapon handling, their confidence levels. Old habits from reconnaissance training. Know your enemy. "Gentlemen," she said simply.
The rangemaster, an older man named Bill who'd seen everything in 40 years, approached with a clipboard. "All right, folks, let's establish rules. 3 competitions as agreed. First up, long-range precision. 300 yards, 5 shots each, tightest grouping wins." 300 yards? Sarah's voice carried disappointment. "That's hardly long range." Tank laughed. "Confident. I like it. Okay, hotshot, you pick the distance." Sarah looked out at the range, studied the wind flags, the heat shimmer, the terrain. 800 yards, 5 shots, iron sights only. The bikers erupted in protests. 800 yards with iron sights. That's impossible. Even with a scope, that's expert level. She's crazy. Tank held up his hand for silence. He looked at Sarah with new interest. 800 yards, iron sights. You understand that's beyond what most military snipers train for. I understand that in Helmand Province, I didn't always have time to adjust my scope. Sometimes iron sights were all I had. Sarah's voice carried absolute certainty. 800 yards or I walk away. Your boys can handle 300. They're not as good as you claim. It was a calculated challenge. Question their skill, their pride. Make backing down impossible. Tank's jaw tightened. Then he grinned. You got guts, I'll give you that. Okay, 800 yards, iron sights. But if you lose, the debt goes to 15,000. And when I win, you make a $5,000 donation to the Wounded Warrior Project, in Danny's name. The bikers fell silent. This woman wasn't just shooting for her brother. She was shooting for something bigger. Tank extended his hand again. Deal. They walked to the 800-yard range. Bill set up fresh targets, standard military silhouettes. At that distance, they looked like postage stamps. Who's shooting first? Bill asked. Lady's choice, Tank said. I'll go last, she replied. I want to see what I'm up against. Deadeye stepped up first. Former military, he knew 800 yards with iron sights was brutal, but he'd trained for worse. He lay prone on the shooting mat, adjusted his position. The rifle was a Remington 700 in .308 caliber. Good weapon, reliable. He'd shot it 1,000 times. The first shot cracked across the desert. Downrange, the spotting scope showed the hit, 4 inches left of center. Deadeye adjusted. His second shot was closer, 2 inches right. Third shot, 1 inch high. Fourth shot, dead center. Fifth shot, 2 inches low. Bill checked the target through high-powered binoculars. Grouping approximately 8 inches, 4 or 5 on target. Not bad at all. The bikers cheered. Deadeye stood, satisfied. He'd shot well, real well. Reaper went next. His stance was different, self-taught but effective. He took his time between shots, breathing controlled, trigger squeeze smooth. His first shot hit 3 inches right. Second shot, 5 inches high. He was fighting the wind. Third shot, 2 inches left of center. Fourth shot, 1 inch low. Fifth shot, dead center. Grouping approximately 8 inches, 4 or 5 on target. Reaper nodded. He'd done his best. 800 yards was no joke. Viper stepped up last for the bikers. He was the youngest, but also the most competitive. He'd trained specifically for precision shooting. He settled into position with practiced ease. His breathing was perfect, his body completely still despite the heat. First shot, 1 inch right of center. Second shot, 2 inches high. Third shot, ½ inch left of center. Fourth shot, dead center. Fifth shot, 1 inch low. Bill said, grouping approximately 6 inches, all 5 on target. Excellent shooting. The bikers erupted in celebration. 6-inch grouping at 800 yards with iron sights was championship level. Viper stood and accepted congratulations from his brothers. Tank approached Sarah. Beat that, sweetheart. Sarah removed her Marine's t-shirt. Underneath, she wore a simple black tank top. Her left shoulder carried a massive scar from the IED. Her right arm showed burn marks from the same blast. The celebration died down. The bikers stared at the visible evidence of combat. She lay down on the shooting mat, accepted the Remington from the range officer, checked the weapon with practiced efficiency, bolt action smooth, trigger pull clean, iron sights aligned. Sarah pressed her cheek to the stock. Her breathing slowed immediately, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Her heart rate dropped. The world narrowed to target and trigger. The desert wind picked up slightly. She felt it on her skin, calculated its effect automatically. Years of training, thousands of rounds, dozens of lives saved and taken. All of it came together in this moment. Her first shot surprised everyone with its speed. She'd barely seemed to aim. Downrange, the spotting scope called out, "Dead center." Sarah worked the bolt, ejected the brass, chambered another round. The motion was smooth as water. Second shot. Dead center. The biker shifted uneasily. 2 shots, both perfect. Third shot. She'd taken maybe 5 seconds between rounds. Dead center. Tank stepped closer, watching through his own binoculars now. Fourth shot. Dead center. The range had gone completely silent except for the sound of Sarah's rifle and the wind. Fifth shot. Dead center. Bill walked to the spotting scope, studied the target for a long moment. Then he turned around, his face showing pure amazement.
Grouping is 2 inches. All 5 shots within an area the size of a $50, dead center mass. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Sarah stood up, handed the rifle back. Her expression hadn't changed. Calm, professional, like she'd just completed a routine drill. "I got lucky with the wind," she said quietly. It stayed consistent. Tank stared at her, then at the targets, then back at her. "Lucky?" His voice was flat with disbelief. "Lady, that was the best shooting I've seen in 30 years. Deadeye approached Sarah. "Staff Sergeant, that was unreal. Where'd you train?" "Camp Pendleton, then practical application in Fallujah, Ramadi, and Helmand Province." Sarah's voice carried the weight of those places. "You shoot enough times when lives depend on it, you get consistent." Viper shook his head slowly. "I've competed nationally. I've never seen Ironside shooting like that at this distance. Never." "Competition is different from combat," Sarah said simply. "In competition, you're shooting for points. In combat, you're shooting because if you miss, your brothers die. Changes your focus." Tank held up his hands. All right, you won round 1, fair and square. But we got 2 more competitions. Don't get comfortable." Sarah nodded. "What's next?" "Speed shooting, 25 yards, multiple targets. Fastest time with highest accuracy wins." They moved to the speed shooting range. 6 human-shaped targets set at varying distances, all within 25 yards, but positioned to require rapid target transitions. Rules are simple. Pistol of your choice. Start position is weapon holstered. On the buzzer, draw and engage all 6 targets, 2 rounds per target. Fastest time with all hits on target wins. Miss a target or hit outside the scoring zone, 5-second penalty per miss. "What pistol you shooting, Reaper?" asked Sarah. "What do you have available?" Bill opened the case. Glock 17, 6 Sauer P226, 1911.45, Beretta M9. Sarah picked up the Beretta M9, the standard issue military sidearm. She'd fired thousands of rounds through this exact model. "Magazine capacity?" 15 rounds, more than enough for 12 shots. Sarah checked the weapon, dropped the magazine, inspected the chamber, loaded the magazine back in, racked the slide. The motion was automatic, muscle memory from years of training. "I'm ready when you are." Deadeye went first. He chose the 1911. His draw was smooth. 7 shots rang out in rapid succession. Time, 8.2 seconds. All targets hit, but 3 shots were outside optimal scoring zones. "Good run," Bill noted, "but those edge hits cost you points." Reaper selected the Glock. He was faster on the draw. His shots were rapid fire. Time, 6.8 seconds, but in his speed, he'd completely missed 1 target. 5-second penalty, Bill announced. Total time, 11.8 seconds. Reaper cursed under his breath. Viper stepped up with the 6 Sauer. He took a deep breath, settled himself. When the buzzer sounded, he moved with controlled aggression. Draw, aim, fire, fire. Next target, fire, fire. Smooth transitions, good groupings. Time, 7.4 seconds. All hits in scoring zones. "That's what I'm talking about." Tank slapped Viper on the back. "Beat that time with accuracy. I dare you." Sarah stepped to the line. Holstered the Beretta M9. Looked down range at the 6 targets. Calculated distances, angles, optimal engagement sequence. "Ready," she told Bill. The buzzer sounded. What happened next would be debated by the bikers for years. Sarah's draw was liquid smooth. The Beretta came up like it was part of her arm. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Her first 2 shots hit target 1 before anyone could blink. The sound was almost simultaneous, one trigger pull flowing into the next. Target 2, 2 shots, perfect double tap. Target 3, 2 shots, center mass. Target 4, 2 shots. She was moving faster now. Target 5, 2 shots. The barrel barely seemed to move between targets. Target 6, 2 shots. Her final round echoed across the desert. Bill stared at his stopwatch. Time, 4.1 seconds. All 12 rounds on target, all scoring zones optimal. The bikers erupted in disbelief. "That's impossible. Nobody shoots that fast. The timer must be broken." But Bill held up the stopwatch for everyone to see. 4.1 seconds. Verified. Tank walked down range himself, examined each target personally. 12 holes, all center mass, grouping so tight some bullies had nearly touched. He walked back slowly. His expression was unreadable. "How?" he asked Sarah simply. "Close quarters battle training, Fallujah, room clearing. You learn to shoot fast because enemies don't wait for you to aim." Sarah's voice was quiet. "Plus, I'm left-handed. Gives me a slight advantage in draw speed most people don't expect." Deadeye laughed suddenly. "She's left-handed. That's why her draw looks so smooth. We're all watching for right-hand movement." Tank rubbed his beard thoughtfully. "Okay, so you can shoot far, you can shoot fast. We got one competition left. Moving targets." "What's the setup?" asked Sarah. 50 yards, clay pigeons launched from random directions. 10 clays, rifle shooting. Most clays hit, wins. Simple as that. They moved to the final range. A mechanical launcher sat ready to hurl clay discs through the air at unpredictable angles. "I should mention," Tank said with a grin, "that Viper here holds the club record. Never missed more than 1 clay in 20 attempts." Viper nodded confidently. "Moving targets are my specialty." Bill handed out the rifles. AR-15 platform, semi-automatic, standard configuration. "Who's first?" Tank asked. "I'll go first this time, show you boys how it's done." The bikers laughed, but it was different laughter now. Respectful, impressed despite themselves.
Sarah checked her rifle, loaded the magazine, 20 rounds, more than enough. "Ready," she told Bill. The first clay launched. Sarah tracked it smoothly, led the target, fired. The clay exploded in the dust. Second clay came from a different angle. She adjusted instantly, fired, hit. Third clay, fourth clay, fifth clay. Each one disintegrated in the air. But then something changed. Sarah's breathing shifted. Her stance tightened almost imperceptibly. Sixth clay launched. She fired, missed. Seventh clay, hit. Eighth clay. Her hands trembled slightly. Missed. Ninth clay. She steadied herself. Hit. 10th clay. She rushed the shot. Missed. 7 out of 10, Bill announced. Sarah lowered the rifle. Her jaw was tight. She walked away from the line without a word. The bikers exchanged glances. What had happened? Tank watched her carefully. Something had shifted. The ice-cold composure had cracked. Deadeye shot next, 6 out of 10, respectable. Reaper managed 7 out of 10, tied with Sarah. Then Viper stepped up. He rolled his shoulders, cracked his neck, smiled. "Watch and learn," he said. First clay, hit. Second clay, hit. Third clay, hit. He was in perfect rhythm, smooth, confident, each clay exploding like clockwork. Fourth through ninth, all hits. The bikers were going crazy. Viper had 9 out of 9.
1 clay left. Come on, Viper, perfect 10. Show her how it's done. The final clay launched high into the left, difficult angle. Viper tracked it, let it, fired. The clay kept flying, untouched. 9 out of 10, Bill announced. Viper cursed, but 9 out of 10 was still excellent, better than Sarah's 7. Tank walked over to where Sarah stood apart from the group. She was staring at the ground, fists clenched. You okay? Tank asked quietly. Sarah didn't answer immediately. When she finally looked up, her eyes were distant. The clay pigeons, she said softly. They sound like incoming mortars. The trajectory, the way they arc through the air. My brain knows it's just clay, but my body remembers. Tank understood immediately. Combat trauma. PTSD. The invisible wounds that followed soldiers home. You don't have to explain, he said gently. I won 2 out of 3 competitions, Sarah continued, her voice gaining strength. Long range and speed shooting. That was the bet. 2 out of 3. Tank nodded, slowly. Yeah, you did. You won. Fair and square. He walked back to his assembled club. 20 bikers watched their president carefully. Brothers, Tank announced loudly. Sarah Mitchell won 2 out of 3 competitions. The bet is settled. Danny's debt is cleared. Completely. And we're making a $5,000 donation to Wounded Warrior Project in Danny's name, as agreed. Some of the bikers nodded approval. Others looked disappointed, but nobody argued with Tank's decision. Tank pulled the $10,000 from his Harley, walked over to Sarah, but instead of taking the money back, he counted out 5,000 more. 15,000 total. This is for you, he said quietly. For Danny, for your mother's treatment, and because you earned it. Sarah stared at the money. We agreed on 10,000. We agreed you'd win. You did. Take it. Hospital bills don't pay themselves. Sarah accepted the money with trembling hands. $15,000. Enough to cover her mother's next 3 months of treatment. Enough to give Danny breathing room. Thank you, she managed. Tank nodded. Then he raised his voice again. One more thing. Sarah Mitchell, you're officially off limits. You, your family, anyone associated with you. No business, no contact, no nothing. Any brother who violates this answers to me personally. Understood? Understood, 20 voices replied. But Tank wasn't finished. He approached Deadeye, Viper, and Reaper. What'd you boys learn today? Deadeye spoke first. That combat experience beats range time every single time. Reaper nodded. That we're good, but she's been fighting for survival, different level. Viper was quiet for a moment. That I've never had someone actually trying to kill me. I shoot targets. She shot people who were shooting back. I have no idea what that's like, but I respect the heck out of it. Tank smiled. Good answers. Sarah, you hungry? She looked surprised. What? We're heading to Red's Diner for lunch. You're invited. Your brother too, if you want to call him. Sarah hesitated. These men were still Hell's Angels, still dangerous. But something had shifted. Respect had been earned on both sides. Okay, she said. Lunch sounds good. An hour later, the unlikely group filled Red's Diner. Bikers and a Marine veteran. Sarah sat at a table with Tank, Deadeye, Viper, and Reaper. Danny had arrived shortly after they did, shocked to find his sister having burgers with the Hells Angels. He sat next to her protectively. Your sister's something else, Tank told Danny. 73 confirmed kills, Navy Cross, shot better than my best guys. Danny looked at Sarah with new eyes. He knew she'd been a Marine, knew she'd deployed,
but she never talked about what happened over there. Sis, is that true? 73? Sarah nodded slowly. 73 people who were planning to hurt others. 73 shots I wished I'd never had to take. But 73 times I protected my brothers and sisters in uniform. The table fell quiet. Viper spoke up. Can I ask you something? The moving targets. What happened? Sarah took a deep breath. The sound of the clay launcher, the trajectory through the air, it triggered a flashback. Took me back to Helmand Province, incoming mortar fire. I lost 3 of my team members that day. For a few seconds, I wasn't at a shooting range anymore. I was back there, watching my friends die. Nobody spoke. The weight of combat trauma hung over the table. That's when you missed the shots, Deadeye said quietly. That's when I missed. My hands started shaking. My breathing got tight. Had to fight through it to finish. Some days are worse than others. Tank leaned back in his chair. You know what I respect most about you, Sarah? It ain't your shooting. It's that you showed up. Your brother was in trouble. You could have let him face the consequences. Instead, you put yourself in a situation that triggered your trauma. You faced down 20 bikers who wanted to prove you wrong. You risked $15,000 you probably don't have. All for family. Family is everything, Sarah said simply. Tank raised his beer. To family, and to soldiers who protect him. Everyone at the table raised their glasses. Bikers and Marine veterans. Different worlds, different paths. United in respect.
The diner conversations stretched into the afternoon. Stories were shared. Sarah talked about her teammates, the ones who made it home and the ones who didn't. The bikers listened with genuine attention. Deadeye shared his own struggles after leaving the Army, the discharge that followed him everywhere, the jobs that disappeared when background checks revealed his past. Society wants warriors when there's a war, he said quietly. But when you come home, suddenly you're too damaged, too dangerous, too complicated. Sarah nodded, understanding. She'd faced similar challenges. The VA hospital job had taken 18 months to secure. Hundreds of applications rejected. Overqualified, underqualified. Too much combat experience, not enough civilian experience. The excuses varied, but the result was always the same. Tank listened to both veterans talk, his expression thoughtful. You know what bothers me? He finally said. We got people like you two, trained, skilled, experienced, and society throws you away like trash. Meanwhile, we're out here doing whatever we can to survive. That's why I started riding with the club, Deadeye explained to Sarah. These guys didn't care about my discharge, didn't care about my record. They cared that I showed up, that I was loyal, that I had their backs. Sarah understood completely. The military had been her family. When that ended, the void was crushing. She'd lost her purpose, her identity, her tribe, all at once. What are you doing now, Sarah? For work, I mean. Administrative assistant at the VA hospital, filing paperwork, scheduling appointments. Sarah's voice carried frustration. I speak 4 languages. I can calculate wind drift and bullet drop in my head. I coordinated airstrikes that saved hundreds of lives. Now I schedule doctor appointments. The table fell silent. Everyone understood the waste of talent. Tank made a decision. Sarah, how'd you feel about teaching? She looked at him confused. What teaching? Shooting, tactics, self-defense. Tank gestured to his club. We got brothers who think they're good with weapons. Today proved they're not compared to real combat training. I'd pay you to teach us properly. Sarah hesitated. Tank, I appreciate it, but I don't think teaching bikers is really my path. Not just us. Veterans, first responders, anyone who needs real tactical training. We got connections, resources, space.
What we don't got is someone with your credentials and experience." Reaper leaned forward excitedly. "Think about it. Desert Eagle Range could become a serious training facility, not just recreational shooting, real professional development." "I'd sign up immediately," Viper added. "What I saw today, that's the kind of training that saves lives." Downey touched his sister's arm. "Sis, this could be something. Better than filing paperwork." Sarah looked around the table. These rough, dangerous men were offering her something she lost: purpose, respect, a chance to use her skills meaningfully. "Let me think about it," she said carefully. "Fair enough." Tank pulled out a business card, wrote his personal number on the back. "Call me when you decide. Offer stands indefinitely." As they prepared to leave, Tank made one final gesture. He opened his vest and removed his president patch, the most sacred symbol in the club. He handed it to Deadeye. "Hold this for a minute." Then Tank removed his personal patch, the one with his road name. He handed it to Sarah. "In our world, this means respect, brotherhood. You earned it today, not just with shooting, but with character. You're always welcome at our table, always protected by this club. And if you ever need anything at all, you call that number." Sarah accepted the patch with trembling hands. She understood the significance. In biker culture, this was profound honor. "Thank you," she managed. "This means more than you know." Tank smiled. "You remind us why we respect warriors. Take care of yourself, Marine. Take care of your family, and seriously consider that teaching offer." 6 months later, the Desert Eagle Training Academy opened officially. Sarah Mitchell stood at the entrance watching her first class of students arrive. Veterans, first responders, security professionals, 20 people eager to learn from someone who'd actually been there. Tank had been true to his word. The Hells Angels had provided funding, facilities, and connections. Sarah had brought the expertise and curriculum. Together, they'd created something meaningful. Danny worked as her assistant, handling scheduling and administration. Her mother's cancer was in remission, paid for by that $15,000 and Sarah's new income. The business grew quickly. Word spread about the female Marine who could outshoot anyone and taught with patience and precision. Students came from 3 states. Some stayed for weekend courses, others enrolled in month-long programs. Sarah discovered she loved teaching. Each student who learned to protect themselves or others felt like continuing her mission, saving lives through preparation instead of combat. The Hells Angels became regular students. Every month they'd show up for advanced tactical training. The mutual respect had evolved into genuine friendship. One afternoon, Tank arrived early for class. He found Sarah on the range, practicing alone. "Still keeping sharp?" he asked. "Always. The skills fade if you don't maintain them." Tank watched her shoot for a moment. Still perfect, still precise, still deadly when needed. "You know what you did?" he asked. "By showing up that day, by winning, by treating us like equals instead of criminals? What did I do? You reminded 20 men that honor matters, that skill deserves respect, that warriors exist outside official uniforms." Tank's voice carried emotion. "Half my guys have signed up for community college since meeting you. Deadeye's getting his teaching certificate. Viper's volunteering at youth centers teaching gun safety." Sarah felt tears threaten. "Tank, that's wonderful. You inspired us, showed us that second chances are real, that skills matter more than past mistakes." He paused. "So thank you for everything." Sarah smiled. "Thank you for seeing past the uniform, for recognizing the warrior inside." They stood together watching the sunset paint the desert in gold and red. 2 people from different worlds who'd found common ground in respect and recognition. The Desert Eagle Training Academy's sign reflected the dying light. Beneath the main name, smaller text read, "Founded by Staff Sergeant Sarah Mitchell, USMC, where warriors train warriors." Sarah looked at her hands, steady now, strong. The tremor was gone. The nightmares had faded. Purpose had returned. She'd walked onto that range 6 months ago fighting for her brother's freedom. She'd walked away with something more valuable, her own. Sometimes the most important battles aren't fought with bullets. Sometimes they're fought with courage, skill, and the simple act of showing up when everyone expects you to fail. Sarah had shown up. She had won, and in winning, she'd helped everyone around her win too.